The video begins with shaky phone footage, three teenagers laughing as they record a deaf elderly woman outside a diner, her hands trembling as she tries to sign something they don't understand. One boy throws a crumpled cup at her feet. Another mocks her hand movements. The woman flinches, helpless and alone. But what the teens don't see is the rumble of engines turning the corner. The moment the bikes arrive becomes the turning point no one expected, and the world watching will feel it too. It all started on a cold Friday evening in a small town off Highway 72. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the parking lot of Miller's Diner, a local place known for old jukebox music and hot apple pie. Margaret, a 76-year-old deaf woman with soft silver hair and tired eyes, had stopped by for her usual coffee. She lived alone since her husband passed away, but she enjoyed the warmth of the diner staff. Today, however, when she stepped out after paying her bill, she found herself facing three teenagers who seemed to have nothing but cruelty on their minds. Margaret didn't hear them approaching. She didn't hear their snickers or the click of the phone camera recording her. She only felt the shift in the air, the sudden movement near her face. When she turned, she saw the boys laughing, pointing at her, mimicking her signs with exaggerated, taunting motions. She tried to sign slowly, asking them what they wanted, telling them she didn't understand. But all they did was laugh harder. One boy moved closer, waving his hands in her face. Margaret stepped back, her breathing unsteady, her eyes filling with tears. She desperately tried to blink away. She signed again, "Please stop. Please." But the boys mocked her, repeating her movements with cruel smiles. A couple of people inside watched from the window but didn't step out. Some were afraid. Others assumed someone else would intervene. Margaret stood there alone, trembling in the cold wind, clutching her purse like it might somehow shield her. Then one of the boys threw a plastic cup at her feet. The sudden motion startled her, and she stumbled back against the diner's brick wall. Her hands covered her face as she cried silently, the kind of cry that breaks because it cannot be heard. And as the boys laughed and continued recording, the low distant growl of engines approached. At first, no one paid attention. But then the sound grew louder. Deeper. Heavier. 6 motorcycles turned the corner, leather-clad bikers riding in formation, their jackets marked with the emblem Highland Guardians. These weren't outlaw bikers, they were veterans, mechanics, and community protectors known for stepping in when nobody else would. The boys didn't notice them yet. But Margaret did. She felt the vibration of their engines tremble through the ground. She lifted her head, her tear-streaked eyes widening in surprise. The lead biker, a tall man named Jack with a gray beard and kind eyes, immediately noticed the scene. He saw the phone, the mocking hands, and the elderly woman cowering against the wall. His jaw tightened. He cut his engine. So did the others. The sudden silence made the boys turn around. And that's when everything changed. Jack stepped off his bike, his heavy boots hitting the pavement with a thud that made the boys freeze. The rest of the bikers followed, forming a silent wall behind him. Jack's eyes locked on the trembling elderly woman first. Then on the boys. "What's going on here?" he asked, voice low but sharp as steel. The boys stuttered. One tried to hide the phone behind his back, but Jack already saw enough. Margaret wiped her tears with a shaking hand, trying to sign that she was okay. But Jack understood sign language. He learned it because his younger sister was deaf. He raised his hands and signed slowly back, "You're safe now. I'm here." Margaret's breath hitched. Someone finally understood her. Jack turned his attention to the boys. "You think this is funny? Bullying someone who can't even hear you?" One boy muttered, "We were just messing around." "Messing around?" Jack repeated. "How about I mess around with your parents and show them this video?" He pointed at the phone. "Delete it. All of it. Right now." The boy's hands trembled as he unlocked the phone and erased the recording under Jack's watch. His friends stood pale and speechless. Then Jack stepped closer, not threatening, but powerful enough to send a message none of them would forget. You don't get to treat people like this. Especially not someone's grandma. Especially not someone standing alone. The boys nodded rapidly, their bravado gone. Without another word, they hurried away, leaving the parking lot in complete silence. Margaret stood still, her tears falling again, but this time from relief. Jack approached her gently and signed, "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "Just scared." Jack nodded, his expression softening. He guided her toward the diner's entrance, two bikers walking protectively on each side of her. Inside, the staff who had watched from the window lowered their eyes in guilt. Jack pulled out a chair for her. The other bikers ordered warm soup and pie for her, placing everything in front of her with quiet respect. Margaret signed thank you over and over, her hands trembling. Jack smiled. "You're part of this town. You're not alone." The bikers stayed with her for nearly an hour, comforting her, making her laugh with gentle jokes, asking her about her life. She hadn't felt so seen in years. When it was time for her to leave, Jack offered her his arm. The other bikers escorted her to her small car, making sure she felt safe. Margaret looked up at Jack, her voice silent but her signs filled with gratitude. "You saved me today." Jack shook his head. "No, ma'am. We just showed up when others didn't." As she drove away, the bikers watched until her car disappeared down the road. And somewhere in the town that night, those teenagers sat in their rooms, shaken, ashamed, and thinking hard about the kind of people they wanted to become. The lesson echoed long after the engines faded. Kindness doesn't need sound. Courage doesn't need noise. And heroes don't always wear badges, sometimes, they ride bikes.